The Shadow from the North, full narration script. In the 8th century, a shadow began to fall across Europe. It was not the shadow of Roman walls, nor the gleam of Frankish crowns, but the dark wings of blood-red sails, swelling against the wind, spreading like open wounds across the horizon. Those who carried this terror wore no heavy armor, no gilded helmets, no knightly banners. They came with dragon ships that cut through the waves like spears of the gods, with axes flashing like the lightning of Thor, with round shields that thundered like storms from the northern sky. They were born in lands where winter stretched endless like an abyss, where stone and frost devoured every seed, where men learned to survive through fear and chose to die in pride. Inside them flowed 2 streams of blood, one cold as ice, one hot with myth, both running straight to Valhalla. The Saxons knelt before the cross, believing in one merciful God and a heaven filled with light. The Northmen raised their heads to Odin, to Thor, to Freya, believing that blood spilled on foreign soil was the ticket to the great hall of feasts and endless battles until the final day of Ragnarok. This was not only war, it was a clash of faiths, the cross against the hammer, the prayer against the war horn. And the world knew them by a single name, the Vikings. Year 739, the North Sea roared under a blanket of gray fog, the wind slicing like 1,000 frozen blades. On the island of Lindisfarne, the sacred heart of the Anglo-Saxons, church bells tolled across the mist. Monks knelt in prayer, whispering words they believed would reach heaven. They believed Christ was watching. They believed no evil would dare touch this place. But peace was about to shatter. A horn sounded, long, low, unearthly, like the call of the underworld. Seabirds screamed and scattered, white wings flashing like souls fleeing their bodies. A fisherman's voice broke the silence, trembling with dread. "Dragon ships, the Northmen!" Over the fog, the shadows thickened. Then they appeared. Long ships, red sails glowing like blood, dragon prows, jaws wide, glaring at the holy shore. Drums thundered with every stroke, each beat like Thor's hammer splitting the sea, foam bursting white like the wounds of the ocean itself. The ships struck sand. Warriors leapt ashore, tall, wild-haired, bearded, eyes like steel. Axes caught the first rays of light and blazed. Shields slammed into the ground. Boom, boom, boom. The earth shook. A handful of Saxon farmers, clutching hoes and sticks, tried to resist, but tools of harvest splintered like dried twigs. In moments, the sand was painted red. Survivors ran, their cries swallowed by the sea. The storm of the Vikings had landed. Nothing could stop it. The monastery stood in the mist, stone walls, heavy doors, the gateway to heaven for the faithful. Monks gathered before it, holding up their crosses, lips trembling, pleading for mercy. From the shore came the pounding of axes on shields, like a funeral march. A Viking bellowed, "For Odin!" and 100 voices answered, a thunder that drowned the prayers. Axes crashed against the gate. Each strike shook wood and faith alike, like Thor himself hammering at heaven's door. Splinters flew, cracks spread. The gate exploded. The mouth of hell yawned open. Inside, candles flickered. Hymns trembled in the air, fragile as birds in a storm. But within a heartbeat, the song broke, replaced by screams. Pages of scripture tore free, caught in fire and smoke, letters of God scattering into the air like souls searching for salvation, but heaven gave no answer. Chairs and tables splintered, stone walls shuddered, the roar of laughter smothered the last cries of prayer. A monk collapsed before the altar, his eyes lifted to the crucifix, but smoke coiled, the statue tilted, then fell into the dark. A torch flared, flames raced up the curtains, black smoke coiled around the arches like a serpent choking the holy hall. The laughter of the Northmen echoed, and the house of God became a hall of shadows. The wolves of the sea looted without mercy. Golden icons dragged down, silver chalices ripped from the altar, relics stuffed into sacks. Each clatter of treasure was the sound of nails sealing a coffin. Manuscripts were torn, the gospel turned to ash, lost in the smoke. Outside, villagers were driven together, the old raised trembling hands clutching crosses, women bound and dragged like spoils of war, children's cries vanishing beneath the horns. On the shore, the great bell cracked in two, its last toll stuttering into silence, the final breath of faith. The long ships groaned with the weight of plunder, gold, silver, wine, cloth, and slaves. The Vikings roared, their laughter carried across the waves, rolling like thunder of a storm that would not end. A monk survived long enough to write in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. In this year, terrible omens appeared. Storms, lightning, dragons of fire in the sky, and soon after, the Northmen came. They ravaged the church at Lindisfarne. Many were slain, many taken. Blood mingled with the sea. From this day, Europe shall live in nightmare. Smoke still rose from Lindisfarne, a black column twisting into heaven, a wound bleeding into heaven. Survivors knelt on the sand, eyes red, watching the red sails fade into the fog. In their hearts, one question burned. If even the heart of Christendom could fall, then where was safe? Night fell. Crows gathered on the charred beams, their cries harsh, like Odin's laughter riding the northern wind. Lindisfarne was only the beginning. The news spread like fire through the 7 kingdoms of the Anglo-Saxons: Northumbria, Mercia, Wessex, East Anglia, Kent, Essex, Sussex. All knew the storm would return, stronger, bloodier. Kings raised banners, warriors were summoned, oaths sworn in blood. Rivalries faded. For the first time, the Saxon kingdoms moved toward unity, for they understood that only together could they resist the tide of the north. And from the ashes of Lindisfarne, a new chapter of history began. The great clash of Saxons and Vikings, where war horns and church bells would ring together in the final battle for the soul of England.